So in case you didn't know, I'm a geek dad, which is a totally cool thing to be now. It's hip, seriously. Go look it up. I'll wait. And one of the hardest dad minigames there is, bedtime. Nap or nighttime, doesn't matter. It's the one time I wish I had like a parenting game genie. The worst part of it is trying to leave once you've literally wrestled your kids down to sleep, and now you have to use every stealth skill you've ever learned to not make too much noise, wake the beast, and have to start all over again. Don't wake the dragon. Clank is a deck-building adventure game for 1 to 4 players designed by Paul Dennen and published by Renegade Games Studios. Players are thieves that are sneaking into the dungeon, pressing their luck as they delve deeper into the depths, all while trying not to make too much noise and wake the dragon guarding the loot. Classic theme for sure. You'll win by grabbing an artifact and escaping the dungeon before your demise. Your deck starts with basic cards that have symbols that generate resources when played that you'll use to move in the dungeon, fight monsters along the way, and buy more powerful cards from the dungeon realm. You'll have 5 cards in hand from your ever-growing deck that you'll play on your turn. Boots let you run through tunnels, 1 boot giving you 1 move. Some tunnels have an arrow meaning you can only go one way, and a tunnel with 2 boot print symbol means you need an extra boot to travel through it. If you ever land in one of these cavern spaces, you have to end your movement for the turn. The caverns are too large and it takes time to traverse them. When you are on a spot with an artifact or secret, you can pick it up. Typically, you can only carry 1, and the deeper you go into the dungeon, the more they are worth. Choose wisely. Major and minor secrets are items you can use or gold you can collect for points or buy items from the marketplace, because certain spots on the board are where there's a traveling merchant that has set up shop for explorers. When you are on a market space, you can buy an item from the market for 7 gold. Maybe you'll buy the master key that lets you go through the tunnels with lock symbols, the backpack that lets you carry 2 artifacts, or you can purchase the crown, which becomes less valuable as more players buy it. Some tunnels will have a monster symbol. You will take damage unless you've generated swords that you can use to cancel it. Swords can also be used to attack monsters that appear in the dungeon row for rewards, and you can always attack the goblin. Seriously, this place is just swarming with goblins. You can't swing a sword without hitting a goblin. It's ridiculous. Now, while players are going banging around the dungeon, you have to keep in mind the sleeping dragon that roams its tunnels and caverns. During the game, you have a number of cubes in front of you of your player color. Some cards will cause you to gain Clank. Thematically, this means you are taking an action that is causing enough noise to be noticed. You will have to take the cubes in front of you equal to the Clank gained and place them in the Clank area of the board. If you play some more stealth-based action cards, they will actually cause you to lose Clank, and you'll be able to remove Clank from that same area instead. At the end of the turn, if any cards were taken from the dungeon row, you replace them. And if any of those new cards feature the dragon symbol, the dragon will attack. When the dragon attacks, you take all of the cubes in the Clank area and add them to the dragon bag. Shake up the bag and draw the number of cubes shown on the current level of the dragon track. This track will go up when certain things happen, like as soon as anyone grabs an artifact. Any black cubes that the bag started with are ignored and are discarded, but any cubes in the player color goes on their damage track. Over time, there will be less black cubes, and the more Clank you gain, the more likely the dragon will take a swipe at you. If your damage meter is ever full from the dragon or roaming monsters, you are knocked out. So depending on where you fell matters, because the board is broken up in the above ground area and the underground area known as the depths. If you've grabbed an artifact and you're no longer in the depths, then the people of the town will actually rescue you and you'll get to count the points you've earned. But if you haven't gotten an artifact or are still locked in the depths, you might as well serve yourself as dinner for the dragon, because you're out of the game, none of your points are counted, you lost. 2 things happen when somebody makes it out before the other players. First, they get a mastery token worth 20 points at the end, and their meeple goes on a track that guarantees an ever-escalating dragon attack. Basically, anyone left in the dungeon now needs to hightail it out of there if they want their points to be counted. Everyone that escaped will count their points on artifacts, any token that has 1 point for every gold, and some cards in their deck will actually award them points as well. The player with the most is the Master Thief. Everyone else can go suck dragon eggs. If you played Marvel Legendary or other similar deck builders, then the core mechanics will be instantly familiar to you. Build your decks, Get better cards, discard, shovel, repeat. What makes Clank fun is the decisions you have to make on how you're going to spend your resources to traverse this dungeon. Which path am I going to take? How deep should I go? What cards in the dungeon row will help me most? What are the other players going to be doing? And how is that going to affect what I go after? You also really have to manage the noise you're making. If you start grabbing cards that generate a lot of clank, be ready to grab stuff and get the heck out of there. There are a lot of cards that help with movement, but a lot of it means thematically you're literally running up and down the tunnels making way too much noise. You'll have some luck you'll be pressing, hand management stuff that's really fun mechanically, on top of a theme that comes out really well. The strategy is really straightforward, but you have plenty to think about. I was actually worried that when I saw the game had player elimination in the rules, but it usually only happens near the end of the game, and you know exactly what you did. You knew you had a ton of clank in the bag and the risk you decided to take. The game didn't just kick the legs out from under your chair. You kind of went in going, yeah, well, I'm an idiot. I'm just running like a moron through this dungeon. I'm probably not going to live, so, oh, okay, I died. Cool. That was my fault. Here's the thing, though. The magic carpet card. Look, movement is such an obstacle in this game. The magic carpet card basically removes it for the player. There's only one in the deck. And there's a couple, some of the cards have multiples. This one, there's only one. But if you're lucky enough to grab it, you basically won. It makes it way too easier to get out and get where you want to go. So yeah, I took that card and it goes under the insert. We don't play with that one. I had to take it out. So no thank you. Overall, I feel like the game is a really well-designed experience. So buy it, play it, and if you have a lot of deck builders, maybe you feel like you have too many deck builders, maybe this is one that moves into another one's place. We all know shelf space is at a premium. This one totally belongs on it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Renegade Studios has in store. It looks like they're really ramping up how many games they're going to have out this year, and I cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching Board Game Beasts. Make sure you join the Board Game Beasts Facebook group. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It'll be really, really helpful. The more numbers we have on that, the more games we'll be able to get and review. And always, if you are in the Minneapolis metropolitan area, make sure you check out Level Up Games in South St. Paul. It's our wonderful sponsor, one of the best game stores I've ever been to, and my personal favorite, friendly local game store. Thank you so much! What was that? Why did I do that? Ugh.